takes slow. The night gets deep. Your silhouette a secret I keep. Whispers crawl where the shadows lead. Velvet skies, your name's a song.
Hey, welcome back to Sacred and Naked. I am Charity, your sacred intimacy guide, and if you're looking for an intimate view on healing and love, all things love, self-love, partner love, or if you simply need a reminder that you are not alone, you have come to the right place. Welcome to my safe space. We have a familiar face. This is Ray. He was our first interview at the Alt Life Mississippi Kickback a couple of weeks ago. And I invited him back to speak more because he had so much knowledge to share. And Ray, I told Ray before we started that Ray is the first man that has been in my bed.
It's an honor.
Oh, for a very long time. So he said he feels special.
I definitely feel special.
He also brought me some roses.
Yeah, definitely. You can't come to somebody's home empty-handed for the first time and you just look like you needed roses.
Oh, I love flowers. I love roses. And so I feel, so if you see me blushing, this is why. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you
So,
for
thank you for being here. I can't wait to see what this episode is going to be about, how it's going to unfold, because again, you had so much knowledge to give us, and that's really like what this space is about. Just being able to bring different people on, to give their different perspectives, and hopefully connect with the different people. Let them know like, hey, you're not alone. Like, there is somebody out here that potentially feels exactly like you, or has been through similar things, or you are not alone. Now, I think that's really important for us as humans to know, because the world is hard. Like, life gets hard sometimes. And you want to know that, like, damn, somebody gets me.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of times people are just too embarrassed or feel weighted down by societal norms to speak their truth. So I'm one of those people that don't really care about all that. So I've lived enough life to, you take it. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. So
yeah.
I have no problem speaking on things. So.
Oh, me either. That's why I'm so glad that you're here. So tell me, Ray, what are we talking about today?
Oh, I mean, we could talk about whatever you want to talk about, but I think the main thing I wanted to touch on was, in my experience, I know a lot of people that have denied themselves their own freedom to express themselves based off of what they was raised in. And when I say what they was raised in, I mean the church. Yeah. And for some reason, that just started speaking to me recently about my journey and how much of my journey has been impacted about the way I was raised. Mm-hmm. So I think I wanted to come at it from that angle.
I would love for you to share, because yes, so much of how we live life, how we, like, whether we're reserved or whether we're loud or however we do is based off how we were raised. And being here in Mississippi, like in the Bible Belt, like it's please share.
So I touched on it a little bit on our first time we talked about my upbringing, because my dad was a Baptist preacher. Most of my family is either deacons or preachers or something. So, and my ex was also raised religious. So when we started our relationship, it was so stagnant based off of what we had been both raised as acceptable ways to, conduct yourself, and it really led to us denying our own pleasures for years because, can't do that. I remember my ex for years actually telling me she wanted an open relationship. Of course, I just heard she wanted to fuck another dude. I'm like, hell no. But at the same time, I kind of was like, I can't do that. What if it got out? What if people found out? I would embarrass my mother. I'm just started. I immediately shut down on the concept of it, and didn't even think she was serious. But it was like maybe our second year into marriage that she started joking about that. And as I told you last time, we had hit regular marital issues that any relationship runs into, but I ended up cheating. And when she found out about it, we went to marriage counseling, but she told me then, that old way of our marriage is over. If you want to continue,
sound like me.
it's going to be an open relationship. And I'm like, so you was for real on that, huh? She was like, so you think about it. If you had to just listen, it wouldn't even been a problem that what you was doing in Brazil. I was like, what? And so she said, I was serious. And this is like, I don't know, 10 years into our marriage. So I got a book, like I told you, open it up.
I have to get it.
Yeah, it changed a lot for me. And I got that book, and it just spoke to me. It's not realistic for one person to be another person's everything for the rest of their life. And we just started sitting with that, like, what all have we denied ourselves based off of traditional norms and primarily our religious background? She grew up Jehovah's Witness, even more strict than me. So it was just like unheard of to really, be your authentic self. So I realized that once we got into it and once I started just really paying attention, the majority of the people I ran into, I don't know how many preachers' daughters I've slept with. It's just like it's just actual preachers. I'm just like, y'all some freaks too. So why are we denying who you really are? So it's just like, I just thought about it, and if we had to just not let society tell us what is proper, could have been happier a long time ago.
Yeah, I think about because my dad is a minister, so he wasn't like the head preacher or anything, but he did preach some Sundays in different churches that we went to, and I remember being like heavily involved in youth group and choir and all these things. And I remember, the purity type, abstinence, like, don't, save self in marriage or whatever. And I get that, right? I mean, I understand it now. Like, I would say some of the same things to my babies, only because I understand that there are some emotional and spiritual things that come with sex that like you're not ready for at a certain age. So that's the angle that I'm going to come at it with when I talk to my babies. But I remember at least a few young ladies that I don't know if they had sex before they got married, but I knew they felt pressure to get married, to have sex, and the marriage didn't last. It didn't last. Because you're not teaching us, you're saying don't have sex until marriage, but once you get married,
you're supposed to stay in that marriage, and now you're like, wait, I don't like having sex.
I don't like having sex with him. I don't know what to do with I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, I actually I didn't lose my virginity until I was like 18. Some of that was because I wasn't popular, but it wasn't for all of it. Went for a lack of trying, but for most of the years up to about I was like 15, I wasn't on that. I was trying to be the best Christian I could be. I was like, but then life happened, and I started to see the church for for the hypocrisy, and I basically just turned away from the church at an early age, and it was like, but I mean, that's a whole nother thing. But it's still living with that and seeing people get shamed, slut shamed in the church and all these things and then what really bothered me was people who really were trying to turn their life around would come to the church for support, but because of their background, they would be judged.
Church has a lot of judgment.
Yeah,
Very heavy in judgment.
And that's when I really started to breaking away. I'm like, why are we judging people trying to get help, who are trying to change? Just because you know what they did doesn't mean that they're beyond saving, if that's what you believe. You know what I'm saying? You preach one thing, but then you act a different way. And I started questioning so many things that I'm just like, man, these answers aren't adding up. And that's when I started coming to my conclusion that religion, not spirituality, religion is just a form of control.
Yes, oppression. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm like,
yes,
no.
I agree. I really do. I agree with you.
Yeah. And once I came to that conclusion, you couldn't tell, it didn't matter. My mom was so heartbroken. My mom's so religious. So I'm like, she's like, she can't function without her church. And that's what I started noticing too. If people don't have something to blame their misfortunes on, and the ability to say, I'm going to pray about it and God's going to see me through, when the truth of the matter is you need to own your own shit and change your own.
Take accountability.
Take accountability and just
I
stop
agree
saying.
with you.
So I know for my mother, for sure, it was, I need to have this to justify the struggle, because I have to be devout, and it's going to change. It's going to change. Things are going to get better. And for years, I thought she was for real with that. And then later finding out she with the shit too. So I'm just like, yeah.
And I don't like how, like, so you said like hypocrisy, right? So like, I don't like how people pick and choose what they want to stand, like the verses or the, like what they want to stand on to
the whole Bible or not.
Come on, like it's just I think church hurt is a thing that like we don't talk about enough. I feel like we talk about it in private, right? Because I've had conversations with people I went to church with, like I grew up in the church with, that like are on very different paths from like where we were, like in the church or whatever, and they've talked about like some of their traumas. Like I remember turning 18. When I turned 18, I grew up in church, now the same church. I grew up in the church. When I turned 18, it's like some wolves came out. Like the men, the deacons, the men, the musicians, all of them, they looked at me differently. They treated me, maybe they looked at me the same, but they weren't hiding the way they looked at me. They were checking on me more. And I'm like, what? It was very weird. So but in the church, I should have been safe from that, right? I should have been, right? Yeah. Because it's not supposed to be like that.
So that's where my break came from. So, like I said, this is the part that if anybody in my family hears it, inbox me, call me. You don't never call before, but if you want to call now, I'll speak on it. You know what it is. So I haven't been quiet. A lot of my family already know how I feel. I've been very vocal, but I haven't been this like on a platform vocal. So I don't know if this is everybody's story, but in my area, in the church I grew up in, the deacons, the ushers, choir members, preachers were all, I ain't gonna say all, I won't say all, a lot, way too damn many, were predators. You said they started looking at you at 18. Not where I was from. In Alabama, the place I grew up in. I should call out the church. But but in that church, they were molesting children at the church. I mean, in the back. In the back of the church.
What?
Yeah. I have family members that experienced that. And the thing is, people were told. People were actually, deacons and like they brought it to people's attentions. I found out, I didn't know as much when I was younger, but as I got older and it really just started delving into it and started asking questions, I started contacting cousins and other people like, was this your experience? Was this your experience? Was this your experience? My sister, I know she's writing her own book, so I know she's going to be fine with it. But my sister was the one that opened my eyes to it. She was molested since she was 3 years old. Oh no! So I apparently blocked some of it out because I witnessed some of it when I'm 2 years older than my sister, so I witnessed it when I was 5. Went to my parents, and they didn't do anything. So I recently did family counseling, almost 2 years ago. All my whole family on Zoom call therapy, and that's when the repressed memories came back of what I saw. And when I was talking to my sister about it, she was like, Raymond, you do realize you was 5 then. I was 3. I'm like, it couldn't have been. She's like, yeah, I was 3. And I remember going to my dad saying, we don't want to go over there anymore because this happened, that happened. And he just kind of like played it off like, I'm going to make sure, But he just took us back over there 3-4 days later, like it was nothing. So now I'm like in fight mode as a 5-year-old trying to protect my sister. So, and then like I said, I blocked it out. But then I thought that was it. Many years later, she came out against my dad for what he was doing, touching, kissing, all making her uncomfortable, all kinds of stuff. And my dad was a Baptist preacher. So during that time, okay, let me get background. During that time, my sister was very promiscuous at school. All my friends was having sex with my sister. She was doing all kinds of stuff. And I was embarrassed. I'm fighting almost every other day. Somebody talking shit about my sister, we fighting. I mean, I stayed in fights. And all I knew was she's embarrassing me. Why is she acting like this? Why is she doing all this? Not knowing why. Right. So when she came out saying that against my dad, it was easy for him to tell me, you know how your sister is. You know what your sister been up to. That's not the truth. I just told her she couldn't go on this trip, so she got mad and made up these stories, and she's lying, and I believed it. And she moved in with my cousin. Thank God for my cousin knowing from her own experiences that what she was saying was true, and took her in. But I didn't talk to my sister for like 3 years because of the lie that my dad told me. And the reason why I believed it was because my mom co-signed it. I trusted my mom. She's been my rock. So I'm like, I know she wouldn't lie to me.
Right.
So years later, when I find out that it's true, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, so what else was true? Still, just knowing that, not knowing, all the details, I just knew that he was allowed to do this because he was reverend. He was reverend. And everybody was like, they loved the way he sang. He had the voice of an angel. They would book him to sing. They loved to hear him pray. He's so, he's good. It was a show though. You know what I'm saying? It was a show. But he was able to hide in the church. I got so many other family, uncles, cousins, my granddad, my granddad was a pastor. This is the part that everybody will be pissed at me about, but y'all know. My granddad had a child with his own daughter. And everybody act like they didn't know. But they did. They knew. But he still was reverend. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, so this started years ago, this whole covering up the truth just because he in the church. So I'm just like, y'all been harboring predators all this time. And once I found that out, I was like, yeah, I already didn't feel this was right, but now I know it's not right, and you can't tell me nothing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But that's the type of thing, though. That's the type of environment that's allowed to fester. I remember people coming to church heavily made with makeup on, caked up, because their husband been beating their ass. Nobody say nothing. They just look at it because the husband's a deacon. You know what I'm saying? He's a deacon,
man.
So we know he beating his wife ass, but we just gonna let that go. Cause he in the church.
He in the church.
He in the church. We ain't gonna talk about Deacon so and so. You know what I'm saying? That's their marriage. That we gonna pray for.
We gonna pray for him.
But we ain't gonna do nothing to step in to help. So what are we doing? What scriptures are y'all deciding to just ignore? You know what I'm saying? So that was the culture that I grew up in. And then when I went back and started talking to other people, find out most of the churches in my area had similar stories. Stories of just like, you don't feel safe. You don't feel safe. And so, yeah, I don't never tell anybody that, you know, you're a bad person for being religious. I just let them know that, hey, you just, it's easier for you to be controlled.
Yeah.
Some people, it's so hard for them to break away from the pattern. You know, they just got to stay in that mode. They don't know anything else. So they feel like, I'm safe here. I have a congregation. I have the community. Fellowship. Going to church is where I feel, you know what I'm saying? Where 2 or 3 is gathering in my name. But when y'all is rotten to the core, you really think God is in the midst of that? You're telling yourself that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's
For real. Yeah.
It's so easy. And then if you speak against it, you're a heathen. You're this, you're that. If you speak out against what you know to be wrong, look at how many famous preachers have been outed recently, you know, in the last few years for sexual improprieties, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How many of them? But guess what? Don't all of them get their church back within a year? About a year later, everybody just forgets, you know, just like they all just somehow forget.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big story when it come out, and then a year later, nobody cares no more, and then, you know, but God, then you're like, well, you know, God working on him, he forgave him. He got excuses, so many excuses.
Instead of holding people accountable, holding ourselves accountable. Yeah.
So, like I said, I was already on that path. So when it came to the lifestyle, once I got in the lifestyle, I was like, you know what? At first, I was like, I can't. Like I said, when we first got married, I was like, can't do this. But then after that's when I found out the truth, and I'm like, oh hell, I don't give a damn. I told my mom, like, yo, I'm a swinger. I told her, you know, I called her and told her, like, I don't want you to find out anything nowhere else. Don't be asking no questions. Yeah, I have a girlfriend. My wife has a boyfriend. Don't play me like that's something strange when I know about you and Dad cheating on each other when y'all was, you know, younger. You know, I had to get a paternity test because my dad was so adamant, just because he wanted to let me know my mom cheated on him. You might not be my son. I had to pay for a paternity test because my dad was just not going to even let it go. Like, I don't think you my son and this, that, the other. I'm like, all right, bro, let's put this to bed. But I'm like, y'all out here doing all this and that and the other, but you're going to judge me for my life. You're going to judge, you know what I'm saying?
And I don't understand the judgment on open relationships, swinging, you know, poly, whatever it is, when I don't know. I think I said this to you or somebody else that I had the interview with. I don't know any faithful people.
Yeah, me either. I don't.
You're cheating. You know, like, you know what I'm saying? You are a part of the lifestyle. You're just lying about it. Lying. Yeah. So I really don't understand. I don't understand the judgment. Like, I don't understand judgment anyway, like in general, because for you to judge means that you're perfect.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have no shit, and I don't know anybody who's perfect. So, you know, that's why I don't accept any judgment. So
that's why I don't quote scripture. I don't even try to remember the scripture to go with it. But I throw it out there every once in a while, like, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Why you out here?
Yeah,
you know
I'll wait.
Yeah. Every once in a while I just throw what I'm at him. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're going to live by it, live by it. You know what I'm saying? It's just.
It's oh man, the church. I haven't been to church in like.
Me either. I won't lie. The last time I went to church, I was scared. He said, if you're scared, go to church. You know what I'm saying? They found a tumor. I said 2012. That's the last time I actively went to church. I had been out of the church, found a tumor. I was going through tests. It's like it was a rare tumor. It was failed chromocytoma. It's like 2% of the population get it. If it's cancerous, you're like pretty much dead. Mine wasn't cancerous, but when I found out I had a tumor, I went straight to church. I ain't gonna lie, joined the choir and everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, Lord help me, Jesus. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna even lie. You know, I did.
Yeah.
And once I found out I was good, I'm out.
Yeah.
I can't do this too long, man. It just it just feels wrong. But
yeah. For real, I think that I'll go every now and again. Like my dad's a minister, and my mom will like invite us, here and there. And sometimes I'll go, and sometimes, I won't go. But when Dave and I first got married, because we both grew up in the church, so when we first got married, we went all the time, and I was even active, singing and all that type of stuff, and he was singing and stuff like that. And then I just stopped going because he wasn't helping me like with the, I stepped down from the praise team or whatever, but he was still singing, but he would just leave early, so for practice or whatever, and just left me to figure it out with the kids, okay. Cool, I'm the mom, but I'm saying no, you my partner. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could at least help me with one, take one of them. You know what I'm saying? That I didn't really stop going to church for church hurt, but I stopped going to church because he wasn't helping me. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like we supposed to be partners. I kept going to church through the church hurt. Even I had an affair. I told you I turned 18. Everybody kind of changed or whatever. I then turned 19, and a guitar player was like, he just was, acting like I wanted to. I genuinely wanted to learn how to play the guitar. I genuinely did. Yeah. Like, I really do love music. I really do. Yeah. But he used it. Yeah. He used it, and I was 19, he was 32. Ah, yeah. And so, and I'm impressionable, and I have my father wounds, and I, you know what I mean? I allowed it to happen. I looked up to him, you know what I'm saying? I liked him, whatever. And I mean, he was married. I think he had, 3 kids at the time. And I fucked him. Yeah. I fucked him 3 times in that one day that he was supposed to give me my lessons.
He taught you some
lessons. He taught me something. Taught me some things. Yeah. But it just was really crazy. And I think I might have stopped for a little while going to that church. Like, after that happened, I only fucked him that one time. Well, one day, 3 times. Yeah. But really, it was like 3 seconds for real. Every time he, entered me, he came really fast. Oh, so it wasn't hard for me not to fuck him again, because it was like, it was trash. Yeah. But afterwards, he just kind of flipped on me and was like, "Oh, I don't know why I did that. I love my wife." It was almost immediately after he fucked me. I'm 19. Yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that might have been like my first heartbreak for real. Cause what? You just fucked me, and now it's you want to think I'm dirty now. You want to think about your wife when you was, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, church, man, church.
I actually, like I said, all the stuff I was talking about with the sexual stuff, I didn't learn for sure all that stuff for many years later. Mm-hmm. I actually broke from the church just off of not buying into it. Mm-hmm. Like, I was, with my dad being a preacher, I was in church at least Monday, choir practice, Wednesday Bible study, Thursday. So it was like 5 days a week.
Yes, 5 out of 7 days.
And then on Sunday all day Bible study. You got
a couple of services.
Sunday school main service. Then we had to go to another church.
We had a miracle night service.
Yeah, my dad was booked to go to pray or sing somewhere. So we all crossed town at another church, and we got 7 p.m. all day. Just crazy. So, but I started listening, and I had another cousin that was on the same thing as I was. I think I was probably 12, 13 when I finally started asking questions. So Billy Graham was really big at that time. And my mom loved Billy Graham. I'm like, okay. So one time a preacher came to our service and was really hard on that. If you have heard the truth of the Lord and turned away from it, for you is a sin to have heard it. That was one. I'm not exactly sure how the scripture go, but that was the main thing. And he did his sermon on that, and he kept on bringing up Billy Graham. So I'm just sitting there listening. I'm like, so at the service, I went to that preacher. I'm like, so am I understanding you correct? It sounded you saying Billy Graham goes to some third world country, preaches the truth of Christianity. And everybody who's there to hear it, if they walk out of there and don't accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior, for them it's a sin to have even heard it. Right? That's what you're saying. He's like, yeah, if they don't accept Jesus, so once you hear the truth of the Lord and you die, you done died in sin because you heard the truth. I say, okay, so if they didn't hear it and they died, they good? And he just looked at me, well, you still dying in sin. I said, but he didn't hear it though. I'm like 12, right? Yeah, so he just looking at me and he looking at my dad like, Reb, you gonna get your son? Right. And I'm like, I mean, no. I said, no, I'm saying though. And so my cousin comes up, he got my back, and me and him been talking about this for a minute. Like, he's like, no. Answer the question. Are y'all the same age? He 1 year younger than me. So he was like, no, answer the question. You know what I'm saying? So we was like, so he kind of was like, no. So what do you ask? I said, I'm gonna give you a scenario. I'll break it down better. I said, so you got this Hindu kid, been devout his whole life in his religion, follow everything his religion say he's supposed to do. Model citizen. He goes to one Billy Graham thing, hears him preach one time, don't go up, don't come down to the altar, don't get saved. Next day he gets killed in a car wreck. You saying he's going to hell because he didn't accept Jesus Christ when he heard it. He said, yes. I said, really? I said, you know what? I don't know if I want to serve a God like that. My dad lost his mind when I said that. But I'm like, that don't sit right with me, man. Yeah. So that's when I started asking more questions. And with my asking questions, there's this lady called named Dolores. Well, somebody sent it to me. Somebody sent me on Facebook. This lady named Dolores Cannon. And she basically talks about it's like I don't want to say it wrong. I should have looked at the video before I came. But basically, it's about a new earth, and it's basically saying that if you believe, it's kind of like reincarnation. Okay, so I should have definitely looked it up. But bottom line is, it got me listening, it got me thinking more openly. So basically, for her, the way she was saying it is, if you live this life right now, when you die, you have to go before council of your ancestors, your elders, and you review your life. It's called a soul review, and you review your life and the things that you did not do right, the karma you built up in your life. You gotta expunge that karma, so you gotta come back. You gotta live again. You gotta do certain things. So everybody has to experience everything, and you gotta clean up your karma before you can be light as a feather. That's why I got this tattoo. I got my Libra sign, but I got a scale on there. My heart in one and the feather in the other.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Because and you see that the heart is heavier than the feather.
Yeah.
Your heart's supposed to be, your soul's supposed to be light as a feather before you can transition into the kingdom of heaven or back to the source. She calls it the source. And it got me to thinking. I say, you know what? It's similar to how I believe. I don't think you just automatically go to heaven because it just don't make sense. You're going to sin all your life, and then because you pray one time, you're good to go. So I started doing more research into that, and it's akin to Buddhism and the way I believe now. And and a lot of it is, rooted in some of the Bible. So if you take a cup and you go to the ocean and you dip water out of the ocean is that water in that cup any less the ocean?
Oh, it's the ocean.
It's just
water,
in a
right?
different vessel.
Yeah, different. Yeah, container.
So the way everybody says heaven, I believe is back to the source, because we all are energy. Energy is always recycling. So I believe that we go back to the source when we die. So that means that we all are God. You know, and people say that's blasphemy. But we all, in my way, I believe we all are God. So you can't say I'm of God, but I'm less than God. Just like I said, when you dip that water out the ocean, is it any less the ocean?
I'm with you.
So that got me going down other paths and studying different ways. So I had my I got hypnotized and did a soul regression, you know, to see, it's called a past life regression, to see, you know, how many times I've been here. And my regression, I got it, I recorded it, was recorded, I listened to it every once in a while. It's been a while since I've listened to it, but it felt so real in that moment, you know what I'm saying? So I believe I'm on my second go round, you know, and I know that I got a lot of things I gotta redo, you know. So I try my best not to build any bad karma. I do my best not to harm anybody. To be, if the spirit puts something on my heart to do for somebody else, I don't question it. A lot of my friends say I'm a pushover for that. You're too nice, but I believe that it wouldn't even came into mind if it wasn't meant to be. You know, so you hear people talking about guardian angels, but I believe that is just your ancestors. That's the higher power. Your higher power is your higher consciousness, your past lives, all of it comes together. So you're speaking to yourself, you know, and that's another thing about these teachings about the soul review. In that, you decide, and I believe this wholeheartedly. You decide what you want to expunge in your next life. So when you're going through bad times, when I'm going through bad times, I realize I needed to do this for some reason. I needed to get this pain out the way. I chose this. I know I chose this.
I chose this. That's powerful. I chose this.
I chose this.
Wow.
I sat down with my ancestors after my past life, and we said, what do you want to experience in this life? So my marriage ending the way it did, I chose that. I needed to live that. You have to experience everything before you can expunge all your karma and go back to the source. You can't get to heaven, if you want to call it heaven or source, until you've lived everything. So just because you're having a hard time now, you won't have that same hard time. It might be something different. You ain't gonna say, you mean your next life is gonna be perfect, but it ain't gonna be the same. Because you've already experienced that. You already lived. Now, if you didn't learn the lessons that you're supposed to from this issue, you got to go back through it again. Like, she had some guests on that did their past life regression. There was this one guy who was very powerful, very powerful. In his past life regression, he was an absentee father he had 3 kids. Never did help his wife at all. Just purposely, like, I don't care what you're going through, you deal with it. You know, just, it's your job to do it. And in this life, his wife died in childbirth, and he had 3 children that were blind, I think blind and deaf. So now he's the only father having to take care of 3 disabled children. And he's like, when he did his past life regression, he's like, it makes so much sense now why I'm having to deal with this, because in my past life, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and I didn't learn the lessons I needed to learn. Oh, I'm learning now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Damn,
I was like,
damn.
Wow.
Yes, that is deep.
Yeah.
That is deep. That is, I chose this.
Yeah.
That really is. I think that's probably going to stay with me even after you leave. Like, after I chose this. I chose this.
Yeah.
I chose this.
If you live that way, you won't. It takes away your hate for others. It takes away a lot of problem that you, like I said, when I found out all that stuff about my family and all the stuff that my family been through, I cried a lot. But then I came back to, I chose this, man, and it must have been for a reason.
It must have been for a reason.
I think the reason is to help my sister through it.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
and you know what I'm saying? I don't know, maybe at some point I wasn't there. And I know part of this life, I wasn't there. 3 years we didn't talk, you know what I'm saying? But, and I know I got to deal with that. I'm hoping that you can fix some things in the lifetime you're in, but you know what I'm saying? I do my best to try to clear all the karma I can.
Right. Wow.
Because you know, it's still there, you got to deal with it. You know, you can just put your head in the sand, but it's still there.
Still there.
Yeah.
I would love to do, what do you call it?
Past life regression.
I would love to, like, just to know, cause, damn, I chose this. I chose to make sure that I am bold about my healing and, you know, being authentic and healing out loud in front of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what did I go through in the past life?
You probably was very quiet and timid. Let somebody run you. Probably kept your head down, trying to, you know, and didn't get nowhere. Didn't gain anything from it. You probably got to your soul review and was like, why did I allow myself to live in the shadow of somebody else, under the thumb of somebody else?
Because when I came back this time, I was like,
nah, I ain't doing
fuck
that.
no, this ain't it.
Yeah.
No, hell no. I'm not letting nobody tell me what to believe. I'm not letting, no, you can't tell me what to do. Like, yeah, like I need to know things for myself. If I believe something or if I'm living a certain way, it's because I'm going to take responsibility for this. I can't go off what anybody says or how anybody feels or whatever. I'm responsible for this. I think what I felt was at the end, similar to what you said, like it's the soul review. So at the end of the day, when I stand before God and I have to give account, because that's what I was taught, I have to give account for blah, blah, blah. I can't say, well, I did this because my daddy said, or I did this because, you know, I had to say, I chose to do this. I chose this. And so when I said, I'm going to live the way I feel like, because I'm going to be able to hold myself down and say, I did this because I believed in it. I felt conviction for this. I feel strongly about this. And so I'm going to live how I want to live. Man, it makes sense if you know.
The only difference in what you just said, instead of going before God, you're going before yourself and your
myself
family,
and my ancestors.
Because it's the same concept, you know. It's just that everybody get hung up on the wording.
Yeah. And I like the ancestors better. Like the ancestor type council, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so when you hear something in your back of your mind telling you to do something, people call it a guardian angel. That's your ancestors.
It's my people.
Your people trying to guide you. Man, you don't always listen.
Yeah,
you're gonna still make mistakes.
Yeah,
you're gonna keep having to come back. So the reason why all this stuff resonated was so funny because people put in your life for a reason. So I like I said, I already was done with the church just because I didn't believe that what they were saying made sense. So I'm looking for my own, way of conducting myself. And I ended up working offshore for a long time, working on boats. And they had a guy that I needed to get home, and our boat ended up in an area that was close to where I forgot where. I used to ride a bus. And anyway, he was like, I can get you to Alabama. I was going to live in Alabama. He said, I live in Alabama too, but I'm going this way. So my ex was going to meet me. So I rode with him. Didn't know anything about him for his spiritual beliefs. And I was sitting, the way I was sitting in his car, I had my hands, I can't remember the motion I had, but it was a Buddhist way of holding your hand. I didn't even realize it. He was like, that's very enlightened way you're sitting there. I said, what you mean? What? He was like, that's a very enlightened way that you hold your hands. And I see in you're a very spiritual person. And I'm getting weirded out. Like, look here, bro. You know what I'm saying? I just need to ride, bro. You got me in your car, but look, man, I don't know what you on, but you know what I'm saying? He was like, now listen to me. And he told me a story that once I got that link on Facebook, it was like he was a setup for it, because I would have probably just looked at it and just like, what's some silly ass shit, and just went away. But he told me a story that he was like, I know for a fact that we have to live these lives over and over again. I know that people. You ever heard somebody say that child's been here before? He says, because when you get to the end of your life, when you've actually done so many times around, you've actually experienced everything, then you actually start to remember your past life in your waking life. While you come back with the knowledge you've already gained. When you're on your last 1 or 2 rounds to go, you can actually know what you've been through before. So that's when people say that child been here before. You can see it on them. You can you got an old soul. Their soul has been back so many times.
Wow, it's so crazy that you said that, because I was at my son's class day yesterday, and there was a little baby. She was the smallest little baby, and I couldn't. I've had 4 kids. So I can normally look at a child and say, how old they are, and by her size, she might have been a year, maybe, but her energy, her energy, she was sharp. She had to be about old as me, like, you know what I mean? Because I'm just watching her, like, and she been here before, like, and I just kept looking, I'm like, this little bitty. I'm talking about a little bitty, little cute little something. She had so much sass, and it just was like.
That's why a lot of these phrases we hear, these sayings we hear, they are grounded in something. You remember hearing someone out of the mouth of babes? It resonate more when a child tells you something that you didn't expect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what the guy name was Frank. That's what Frank told me. He told me a story. His wife was worked with horses. So they was going to one of her clients, house, and he just rode with her. She was going to go do all her shots and everything with the horses. So they walk into the house. He's never been there. Never met this family. Don't know them. And this little girl, say about 4 years old, looked and said, "You cut your hair." And everybody looks around. She said, "Oh no, you lost your hair. Oh, you're bald. Ooh, I know you hate that." And she was like, you got me mixed up with somebody else. She said, "Frank, I've been knowing you." Said his name. "Do you still have that old Trans Am?" He's like, "I did have a Trans Am when I was 20. And he's like, he couldn't believe it. And she told him how the color of the car, how long he used to have that long metal hair. He was in the metal. He had long hair and everything. She just said that he couldn't believe. And he sat there and talked with a 4-year-old about his life. And she knew his life. He said he couldn't remember who she was in his previous life, but she knew so much about him. He couldn't deny. I've never met this 4-year-old kid that knows my life. And then the parents was like, "I'm so sorry. She does this all the time. I don't know if she's psychic or what, but that made him go through his spiritual journey, figure out how could this be." And he ended up changing to Buddhism based off of that encounter.
Wow.
I was like,
that's crazy.
So he told me that story. I was like, what? So maybe 3 years later, somebody sent me this link for Dolores Cannon, and it was about that guy's past life regression. And I'm like, something here.
Something here. Wow, man. I'm gonna have to look into this. I just, yes. Yes, I'm gonna have to, because yes, I chose this. That, I'm telling you, that's gonna stick with me from this talk right here. That's gonna stick with me. I chose this, and it's, y'all might see me move a little differently, because
it changes things.
It changes things.
It changes things for sure. So along that line, once I started listening to that, I don't know how it happened. No, I do know what happened. Excuse me, I take that back. The movie Da Vinci Code came out.
Okay, keep going, because I got to rewatch it.
So when the movie came out, it's just something about it make me want to know more. You know, I'm not a big reader. I'm gonna lie, I'm not a big reader. But I started doing research into Dan Brown, and I'm like, where did he get this concept from? And then I found out he got it from these other guys who wrote a book called The Jesus Papers. So I said, you know what? I need to read that book. So I'm not going to read that book. But I got the audio book. And that book just opened up a lot. So my family doesn't like me much because I don't believe that Jesus died on the cross. And I got that from the Jesus Paper, because that's what the whole... Well, see, Dan Brown took that book they did, the Jesus Paper, and he didn't want to piss off too many people. So he just went the route that Jesus had a kid with Mary Magdalene. And he left it at that. He never said he didn't die on the cross. He just said that he was married, and before he died, Mary was pregnant, and there's a royal bloodline. He kept it safe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then I went back to the Jesus Papers, and they give you the real. And when I found out that he based his movie off of that, I was like, so what did he do? All right, so the main reason why a lot of people are easily brainwashed by religion, because that's by design. A lot of people already know that the Catholic Church, controls a lot, Vatican City and all that. Everybody, it's not many people that don't feel like something's up with the Pope and all that. You ain't gonna find, even Christians know that. Yeah, why everything he says supposed to be the truth? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's by design. So there's a lot in history that people don't know. You don't choose because it contradicts them. No, people don't want to know. They don't want to mess with what's safe to them. You know what I'm saying? You really don't. When you know something, you want to know that. You don't want nobody messing with it. It's natural. But what I gleaned from the Jesus Papers is that you hear the term zealot all the time, right? They talk about it now with people that's over religious, but there was actually a group. The zealots was an actual group in Judea, and they were at war with the Romans. And Romans had attacked Jerusalem and sacked Jerusalem, and that's when Caesar and everything was making them pay taxes. It was a whole war going on about paying taxes and everything. That famous scripture which Jesus said, "Give unto Caesar what that is Caesar, and give unto God which is God." There's a lot behind that. So without boring your listeners, but the bottom line is, Jesus was planned. So the prophecies back then was that the one that was going to help lead the zealots to overturn the Romans was going to be of the bloodline of David and the high priest Aaron. That was the prophecy. The Messiah was going to be of the bloodline of David. So Joseph's family is of the bloodline of David. Mary's family is of the bloodline of the high priest Aaron. So their child would be a double Messiah, because the son of the bloodline of David would be a Messiah, and the bloodline of Aaron would be another Messiah. They had a double Messiah. So he was supposed to be the ruler of the Jews. They call him the King of the Jews for a reason. So they was grooming him for most of his life. This is how you're supposed to lead, okay? Because when it comes of age, you're going to be the one that's going to go up against, and you're going to be able to unite all the Jewish sects. He would be able to unite more people, because the ones that didn't believe exactly like the others, they was of the high priest of Aaron's bloodline.
Okay.
Like you got the Shiites and the, how it is. So you got multiple families. Yeah. So this combined that so we can get together and stop these Romans. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was planned.
Right.
It was planned. Okay, so he, even him coming into Jerusalem on a donkey. Remember that story? There was a prophecy that the king of David would enter Jerusalem on a donkey. So when he got to the area, I got to play the game.
Right.
Go get me a donkey. I can't just walk in here.
Damn.
So I'm gonna come in.
You are blowing my mind.
So it all was scripted.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So not saying he wasn't holy or anything. And
Yeah.
he did the miracles they said. He supposedly did turn water into wine. He supposedly did raise Lazarus from the dead. Not saying he didn't have powers of, he was gifted or whatever.
Yeah.
He was tapped into his spirituality to be able to do these things. But the moves he was making was scripted.
Right.
Here's where the problem comes in. When it came time for him to stand against the Romans, somebody asked him a question. Do you feel we should pay taxes? And he took a coin. He said, hand me the coin. He said, whose face is on this coin? Somebody answered, Caesar. He said, okay. Give unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. Give unto God that which is God. The zealots lost their mind because you ain't supposed to ever say,
right, give unto Caesar, right?
We against him.
Right.
He was like 3 days later, he was crucified.
Oh,
They was the one who went to Pontius Pilate and said, kill him. You remember the whole story in the Bible, how Pilate kept on saying, what is this man's crime?
yeah.
What about Barabbas?
Right.
Why y'all want to kill him so bad?
Right.
He got to go. He ain't on code no more. You know what I'm saying? We can't control him. He got to go. That's where all that came from. It was the Jews that wanted him dead.
I didn't know that part. I do remember when Pontius Pilate was like,
What's up? Why y'all want to kill him?
What's
man?
up?
Why
What's
y'all
going
wanna kill
on?
him? Why y'all want to kill him so bad? So another part of that book, like I said, without boring your listeners. So the reason why I feel strongly that he didn't die, because if you look at a lot of things have been scrubbed from the Bible, scrubbed from history, because it don't match the story. So if you look at what happened when he was on the cross, so it normally takes about 3 days to die from crucifying. Basically, you're standing, they nail your hands up, and put your feet. They don't even nail all the time. They lash your feet on that block, and you stand there on that block. And sometimes the nails are there, sometimes they just lash your hands. But eventually, you're going to get tired. You're pushing up on your legs. That's how you keep yourself from breathing. Because when you slump down, it makes you suffocate. That's how you die on the cross. That's why they sometimes would break the legs of the people being crucified as mercy, so they would die quicker. Okay, so he's on the cross, and he said he was thirsty. He asked for some water, right? Remember that? Okay. So they gave him the water. They put a sponge in the water and they gave it to him. Soon after, he said, it is finished, and he slumped over. So if you remember, I always thought it was weird. when Joseph of Arimathea went to ask Pilate for his body, he said, he's dead? He was shocked. He's like, already? But here's the thing: the word, the actual word that Joseph of Arimathea used was the Greek word for a living body. What Pilate replied was the word for a dead body. So this has been written now. You got to realize now the Bible was actually written 300 years after Jesus was dead. Right? So history has already been, taken down. So whoever's writing this is getting to the text and made it to the Gospels could have just easily changed it and made both words be the dead body.
The dead body.
But they purposely worded it where it was a live body and a dead body. Okay? That's the first thing. So how would it happen? How could that possibly happen? So it was common back then that for medical reasons, they would soak a sponge in all kind of like belladonna and all kind of stuff that would knock you out. Basically like anesthesia. The practice was to soak the sponge in the anesthesia And then when you need to use it, you just wet it and put it over the people's face. And they would suffocate. I mean, they would, pass out because that's what the purpose is. So that could be a way that the sponge, because he remember when they gave him the sponge, he was like, it was bitter. He turned, his scripture say he turned away from the sponge, like, yeah, it's nasty. It wasn't water. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that was people trying to save him before they can kill him. So here's the next thing. When they stabbed him in the side, it says blood ran like water. I forgot it was. But his blood ran. If he was dead, he wouldn't have ran. It would just clotted. You know, his blood wouldn't have flowed.
Right.
His heart still beating. Okay. They get him off the cross, and they rush him to Joseph's tomb. Rich guy had a private tomb. He was gonna let them use the tomb. Okay. And when they come to go to do the embalming, they show it with frankincense and myrrh. Frankincense and myrrh is not typical for embalming. It's medicine. Frankincense is used for stopping bleeding, and myrrh is for pain relief.
Really?
Yeah. So back then, that's what it used for. So you showed up to treat a live body that's been stabbed in the side by a guard. He's bleeding. You got to save him.
Save him.
You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things. So the reason why they called it the Jesus paper, the reason why they had that reason why they named it that is because documents was found and it was recorded by respected theologians at the time that they examined the documents before the Catholic Church got it and destroyed it. But enough people saw it and read it and took account of what they read that it showed that Jesus was still alive about 45 years after he was supposed to be dead. And the way it was, back then, they still kept land deeds and stuff. And he found documents showing he owned land. And it had on there, and you had to put your
really
name.
Are blowing our minds.
It had on there, Jesus of Nazareth, son of Joseph, son of Mary. It had everything on it because they had to record the documents. And enough people saw it recorded in history, and then they got found later, and then somebody, you know what I'm saying? But it disappeared once the Catholic Church found out about it. That's why I was like, watch the Vinci Code again. There's a lot of stuff that happened on there that makes a lot of sense. And that got me thinking, why would they go so detailed into this? So the other thing that people don't realize, some people do, they know, all our holidays, all our stuff was decided at the Council of Nicaea. They actually got together because the war that was going on, the pagans versus the Romans, the Catholic Church, wasn't the Catholic Church yet. It wasn't Christianity hadn't been formed yet. The war that was going on was because of the people who believe in Jesus the way his followers 300 years later, but his followers had grown enough that now you got the way the Catholic Church is doing. The pagans, they're fighting against the pagans, and everybody's upset about whose truth is the truth. So they created Christianity. They had a meeting, the Council of Nicaea, and they got everybody together, and they chose then what books are going to be in the Bible. The ones that made Jesus seem like a human, just a regular, simple human, and not divine, they were excluded. That's the book of Philip, book of Enoch, book of Mary. Mary had a book, you know what I'm saying? So they took all that out, added in what would fit what they needed, you know what I'm saying? So it's like the only way we can control these people, get everybody under the same umbrella. We're going to establish the divinity of Jesus. He was a son, direct son of God. There was never no other thing that said he was a son of God. You know what I'm saying? It's just, he was a man that had a message that people resonated with. Now, the reason why things went sideways, you know, the time frame where Jesus, I don't know what he did from like 12 to 38, 33, whatever, all the missing years of Jesus. So apparently he was taken to Egypt during that time. and he studied with mystics. They're akin to Buddhists. A lot of the teachings are the same. And he began to revere women in leadership more. Back then, women couldn't be in any kind of way leaders.
Right.
The goal was for Mary to be the one to run the church, not Philip, after any point of Jesus dying. His disciples spoke out against how close he was to Mary. The reason why they spoke out against because he putting this woman above us. That's why they cover. That's why it's like it's funny that I'm in this group that's all about women led, but this is how it's supposed to be.
It's been supposed to be like that.
It's been supposed to be like that. So
Man.
yeah. So once I already had my doubts about stuff, and then meeting Frank, then getting that video from Dolores Cannon, then finding the Jesus Papers after Da Vinci Code, all this stuff started lining up, and like this is why it never felt right. It never felt right because it was planned. How can we control the populace? We got to give them something to believe in. You know, you ever heard the term papal infallibility? That was also determined back then around the same time as the Council of Nicaea. They basically decided that we're going to make it law that whatever the Pope says, he is in direct contact with God. Whatever the Pope says, if he says it, is law. Papal infallibility. So they started like, we got to get people in line. So they want to push any agenda. The Pope said, this is law. This is known. It's known that Jesus was a son of God. This is known. Everything. So just slowly started and that's what the fight was about. The papal infallibility. The Pope and stuff was already saying stuff that didn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So we got to fight against that. Now you got the zealots and it's a lot, but all of it is control. And it started that way. And that's why I like Christianity. I get it. But every religion, you know, has their deep rules that you can't change, but they all have the same background of control. Why are we saying this is the way we're supposed to do it? Somebody needed you to do it that way to calm down a war, calm down whatever, make you pay taxes, whatever it is. Well, the reasoning was, at the time it was taxes. To make them pay taxes, we got to this is holy. It's holy to pay taxes.
Right.
So
it's holy to get this money about you.
Yeah.
Wow. I cannot wait to see what our engagement is going to be on this one. This is really interesting. I really do enjoy, because you spoke about a lot of things that I didn't, like I've never heard of. My aunt did send me like a documentary though that about the Vatican and like the books that they took, missing books from the Bible, whatever. So she did send me that. So that was familiar to me, but everything else, I have watched the Da Vinci Code, but I got to go back now. Yeah, I got like another lens. I got to go back now.
Yeah. And like I said, they did Hollywood it up, but the premise is the same. The whole cover, they spoke on the cover up of the Holy Grail was not a cup; it was the chalice of a woman's womb, and that is the Holy Grail. So, yeah, he spoke on all that. They spoke on that. So they took that from the Jesus Papers. I'm like, why would they go that route? So that's what got me like, this feels too real to not just be a movie. So I started researching. I'm like, wow, this is really basing.
You found some good, some really good stuff. Yeah. I'm definitely going back to watch that. Man,
yeah, the book is hard to get through. I'm still listening. I'm re-listening to it because I found my finally I called Audible and got my old account brought back up. So I've been listening to it. It's very cumbersome to get through. Yeah, there's so many facts. So many things, but the names, all the old names, it's really hard to get through. Yeah, that's why I went back through all of it, most of it. I got to chapter 24. It's like 38 chapters. I didn't finish it. It's like, but the stuff that I like, oh yeah, that's why I remember. That was the connection. Yeah.
So watch the Da Vinci Code first, and then
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do Jesus
Yeah.
paper. It's like
Yeah.
it's so much to it. But just watch it through a different lens of what if this is true?
yeah,
Why would they want to? But and they talk about it in the Da Vinci Code. They talk about the when they came together and to decide what books are going to go in. They spoke on that in detail.
wow,
Yeah, but that part is documented in history as being true. It's just that nobody wants to talk about it because it goes against what we want to believe.
what we want to believe.
Exactly, because you've been told this is what you got to believe. You know what I'm
You gotta
saying?
believe, or you going to hell.
Or you going to hell. We have to give a. We have to. Okay, that's where all that comes from. We got to put hell in. We got all. It's a.
We gotta scare these motherfuckers into doing what we want them to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm like, because you don't gotta use fear. You know what I'm saying? And that's a whole nother fucking
Yeah.
podcast. But man, damn.
Yeah.
Damn, you came on here with some. You came on here. You was ready. You came on here. I chose this. Man,
That's the one I chose.
that's that. I'm telling you. There's so many things I'm gonna do. I know. Well, so many. There's some things I know I'm gonna do after. I gotta see Da Vinci Code for real through this different lens of like really looking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, for some of the things that you spoke on. Tell me again what the regression. What's it called?
Past life regression.
Okay, I'm researching that because I just maybe.
There's certain hypnotists that know how to do it, but I found one, and I remember I'm traveled to Arkansas to go get it done. When I was living in Tennessee, but I searched who does past life regressions, and I found a woman in Arkansas that did it. But yeah,
I'm gonna have to I'm about to find somebody. I just want to know how many times I've been here, because this time I'm so adamant about my stance on what I'm trying to do, what I'm creating. Like, I'm not discouraged. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I get discouraged. I'm human. I get this doubt, whatever. I'm kind of like, oh, like this is hard, but it doesn't keep me from doing it. I have to keep doing it. I have to keep doing it. I just have to. And I want to know now tonight. I'm like, I want to know why. I know some reasons why, right? Some reasons in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Why? But why am I so, you know what I mean?
Adamant about
I'm
it.
so adamant. I'm so adamant about it. I don't give a fuck what you say, what you think. I'm not stopping unless I want. And I don't even see myself. I was thinking about that day, like, I don't see myself stopping this. Like, I want to do this, and I want it to be bigger. I want to be able to look back and say, I remember it was so hard for me to start this.
Yeah.
And look where I'm at now. I gotta know. I really do. I have to know how many times I've been here and why. So I'm gonna do that research. And then I chose this. Like, I'm telling you, that right there, I might have to get me another tattoo. I chose this.
Yeah,
Like, I chose this.
yeah.
That is profound for me tonight. I chose this.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm about to show up different than this motherfucker. I chose this right here. Y'all, this was a great episode. Thank you for
Yeah, you're welcome.
This was a great episode. Please comment, man. Please comment, like, share. The subscribers are going up, like the views are going up. We need more shares, more views, more comments. The comments kind of slowed down a little bit. I want to talk to me. Talk to me. I love the engagement. I love to be talked to. Talk to me. Share this. This right here.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see like what it's gonna do, because I think it's gonna do something. I love y'all. Until next time,